Hi, my name is David Rippy. I am a certified hypnotherapist. This is the chapter Off Planet Lives in my book, Meeting Jesus. Enjoy.
Off-planet lives. This 28-year-old male came to me wanting to do his first past life regression. He is quite well traveled and enjoys being outdoors in nature as much as possible. He attends workshops and travels to outdoor retreats where Reiki healing and meditation are the focus. He shared that he reads quite extensively, primarily in the metaphysical and spiritual fields. The text begins following the hypnotic induction. David, continue to allow yourself to relax. You are sinking down deeper and deeper, allowing all the thoughts of the day to fade away as you drift down deeper and deeper. Continue to relax, and I will say a prayer of protection. The memories will become clearer and clearer, and you will find yourself feeling safe, secure, and ready to see images of times in your past. Do you see anything? Subject: sonic, true sonic alchemy. The ability to move objects through sound. I see crystals. David, what did you do with the crystals? Subject: exchanged information. David, did you store information in crystals? Subject: yes. It was like a supercomputer. David, like a supercomputer using crystals. Subject: David, could you store a lot of information in a crystal? Subject: yes. David, it sounds like you live in a very advanced society, way ahead of our current abilities on Earth. How long could you live? Tell me about that. Subject: they age, but it's not much and they live much older. 300, 400, 500, 600 I mean. Trailing off. David, what was the average height? Were you of average height? Subject: average. David, were some a lot taller than you? Subject: no, we were all around that, 8 to 11 feet tall. David, describe what the women look like. I saw the movie Avatar. Did they look like that? Were they attractive? Subject: they do not look like that, but they are attractive. David, some of them look humanoid? Subject: yes. There's also more than one planet in the Pleiades. David, say that again. Subject: there's more than one planet in Pleiades. David, are you from the Pleiades? Subject: yes, there are many stars and planets, like islands almost. I don't know how many, but I see myself traveling, and one place I go is just a planet of islands. David, is there a lot of water on your planet? What is it like? Subject: there were small structures of land and domes which we lived in. There were dolphins and a lot of water. David, could you swim? Subject: yes, but it seems like more than just being able to swim, wistfully. David, you were able to power yourself through the water quickly. Like Aquaman. Subject: yes. I had dolphin friends. David, tell me about the dolphins. What was the relationship between the dolphins and the people in Pleiades? Subject: friends. David, they were your friends? Were they evolved too? Subject: yes. They were not your normal flipper. David, say that again. Subject: this was not your normal flipper. David, they were evolved, and could they astral project? Did they stay in the water all the time? Author's note: astral projection or astral travel is a term used in esotericism to describe an intentional out-of-body experience, OBE. The soul or consciousness is called an astral body that is separate from the physical body and capable of traveling outside the physical body throughout the universe. Subject: I'm not sure, I just see them in the water. David, how big is this planet compared to Earth? Subject: small. David, smaller than Earth. Did you have more than one sun? Subject: a bigger sun. David, how far was your sun if you had to put it in miles from your planet? Subject: I don't know. David, let's look at your life in the Pleiades. Did you die a natural death? Subject: natural. David, it was a natural death. Let's go to your death. How long did you live before you died? Subject: 280 in your Earth years. David, you lived to be 280, okay. If you had to think of it in Earth time, starting now in 2020, how far back was that Pleiadian life? Subject, long ago. David, was the Earth created when you were in the Pleiades? Subject, yes, but there were no human beings on the planet yet, there were other beings. David, there were other beings on Earth that were not human at the time you lived in the Pleiades. It was within 4 billion years ago, correct? Subject, yes. David, was it 1,000,000 years ago? 50 million years ago? Subject, under 100 million years ago. David, so under 100 million years ago, you were in the Pleiades star system. Subject, yes. David, did your planet have the technology to view Earth and see what was happening on Earth at that time? Subject, something with the crystals allowed us to communicate. David, did any beings from Pleiades go to Earth during that time? Subject, not from my planet, but other beings from in the Pleiades, yeah. David, you're telling me by using the crystals you could see other planets and communicate with other beings on Earth? Subject, we could transport information to other places, very far away. It's almost like using the pyramids or obelisks with these crystals, and they send the information. Sometimes it looks like you can see electrical shock, the static coming out of it. David, when you were in the Pleiades, did you use pyramid shapes? Subject, yes. David, you did, okay. Did you use obelisks? Subject, yes, we used all the platonic solids, it looks like. Author's note, in three-dimensional space, a platonic solid is a regular, convex polyhedron. It is constructed by congruent, regular, polygonal faces, with the same number of faces meeting at each vertex. 5 solids meet these criteria. Geometers have studied the platonic solids for thousands of years. David, that's interesting. You said you never came to Earth during the time period you were there, is that right? Subject, yes. David, you did say that other planets around you had sent beings to Earth within 100 million years? Subject, yes. David, how did you learn of this? Did you hear it from other Pleiadians? Subject, no, it was common knowledge. David, so everyone knew it? Subject, yes. David, besides the Pleiades, what other star systems might have you communicated with? Any names that we know in Earth terms? Give me a name. Subject, Sirius B. David, you see Sirius B in your mind? Subject, I also see something else, Draco star system. David, what about Arcturus? Author's note, Arcturus was named after Arcus, the ancestor of the Arcadians. Arcturus means guardian of the bear. The bear he is guarding is his mother, Callisto, i.e. Ursa Major, the great bear. It is the 4th brightest star in the sky, and approximately 36 light years from Earth. Subject, deep inhale, something's up with something, that was going on with the Arcturians currently. David, was it good or bad? Subject, neutral. David, were the Arcturians more evolved than the Pleiadians? Who had better technology at that time? Subject, Arcturians were more advanced technologically, but the Pleiadians were more advanced on the soul level. David, did you believe in reincarnation? Was that common knowledge? Did you think you had led other lives, and did you ever contemplate that as a Pleiadian? Subject, softly, it was common knowledge that we were all star seeds and immortal. David, when you look at your Pleiadian background, were there other beings on your planet that had a different body form than your humanoid form? What was going on throughout the whole Pleiades? Subject, slight differences planet to planet. David, they had different human shapes on different planets? Subject, but all similarly humanoid shape. David, concerning other planets or other star systems, did other beings come to visit your planet in Pleiades? Subject, not mine. David, did other planets have visitations by other beings? Subject, yes. David, what were the Pleiadian thoughts on Draco? How were they perceived? Author's note, the Draco constellation lies in the northern sky and is one of the largest constellations in the sky. The constellation's name means the dragon in Latin. Draco represents Ladon, the dragon that guarded the gardens of the Hesperides in Greek mythology. Draco is one of the Greek constellations. It was first catalogued by the Greek astronomer Ptolemy in the 2nd century and is approximately 154 light-years from Earth. Subject: I'm getting the color red when I think about it. David: You see red? Subject: Yes. David: You see the color red associated with the Draconis star system. Why would you see red? Subject: It was gas. It was almost like looking at a supernova, like a gaseous. Gave off a hue. A gaseous hue. David: The planet itself was red, but what were the beings on Draco like as a species? Subject: Don't know, don't remember. David: Were there other beings from other star systems on Earth? Subject: Yeah, there were androgynous beings, more evolved beings than are on Earth now. David: More evolved beings in Earth's past. Subject: Oh yeah. David: As a Pleiadian, did you believe in a creator consciousness? Were there any spiritual beliefs? Subject: Highly spiritual. David: Did you believe in one God or many gods? Subject: Again, more of a unified understanding. David: That everything's connected. Subject: Yes. David: If you look at your life as a Pleiadian, how long ago was that again? Subject: 62 million years ago. David: You think 62 million years ago you were a Pleiadian, is that right? Subject: Yes. David: If you look at the soul of underscore and when you first sparked out, when you first came into existence, what number comes into your mind? If you had to pick a number for your first incarnation, what do you see? Subject: No number. It doesn't feel like there's a beginning point. David: If you had to put it in Earth years, and you remember you were a Pleiadian 62 million years ago, was there a time before that when you might have come into existence? Do you see if you had a life before Pleiades? Subject: Yes. David: Let's go to that life. Let's go there. Look around. Let the images get clearer as you're drifting down, deeper and deeper. You're feeling all the images from your Pleiadian life fade away. Subject: I'm seeing purple and gold light. I think it's taking me to a life before Pleiades. David: I want you to focus on that purple and gold light. You're seeing the images of a life before Pleiades. Tell me what you see. Subject: I don't have as much of a physical form in this one. David: Not much of a physical form. Describe what you know. Subject: It's like watching something like a screensaver. Geometric shapes and colors bending in and out of themselves. David: Is this what they refer to as a mental realm? Subject: Yes. David: Do you feel the presence of other beings around you that have abilities and mental forms too? Do you feel other consciousness around you? Subject: I can. David: Describe that to me. Subject: It is like moving in and out of geometry. In and of itself, it is pure consciousness, and it surrounds all of me. It is almost like living tissue. David: It feels like what? A big brain. In this mental realm? Subject: Yes, like I'm a very small piece of it. David: Does it feel good to be a part of this? Subject: It feels pressurized. David: It feels pressurized? Subject: Yes. David: Do you feel like you're in some type of a container or membrane? Subject: I feel contained like a membrane, yes. David: Does it feel like you are part of a giant consciousness? What does it feel like? Subject: It's like a big amoeba. David: Is there a color or shape to this thing? Subject: Started off black and had a purple, violet hue to it. David: Are you in a different galaxy than the Milky Way? Subject: Yes. Somewhere else. David: You're somewhere else. You're not in the Milky Way galaxy. Subject: shaking head no. David: Are you in the universe the Milky Way is in? Subject: Yes. David: You're still in this universe. When you think back, do you know how you became a part of this thing? Is it something you chose on another level? Subject: I chose it on some other level, an agreement I made or signed up for. My soul did. Trailing off. David: You signed up for this mental realm consciousness life? Subject: Yes. David, do you remember signing up for your Pleiadian life? Subject, I remember. It's like being able to see into the Akasha library. I see myself making the agreement more in this mental realm than I do when working on my soul agreement for my Pleiadian life. David, did it feel really different in your mental realm life compared to other incarnations you've had? Subject, yes, it felt like I was in a throbbing thought form. David, in that life as a consciousness, part of a throbbing thought form, do you feel this was one of your first incarnations? What are your thoughts on that? Subject, it feels like a much earlier life, a time long ago. It also feels like it's like a paramount experience to move forward through something, like I signed up for this. Almost like extra credit to take this on. David, I see. Now when you say this agreement, who helped you make this agreement? Were there other evolved beings above you that helped you in this decision? Subject, that's what it feels like. David, more evolved souls helping you. Is that correct? Subject, yes. David, let's go to that. When you look at that agreement, I want you to take me to that scene in your mind. I want you to drift down deeper and deeper, and I want to go to the time when you made this agreement. As I count from 3 to 1, the images are opening more and more. 2, the images are becoming even brighter. 1, you remember more and more and you are starting to see things come into your mind. Take me to that time when you made this agreement. What do you see? Is there anybody else there that helped you with this? Subject, a presence. David, a presence. Describe the presence to me. What can you tell me? Subject, old, ancient, and ominously powerful. Pause, supportive. Very supportive. David, very supportive. This presence, is it one that you might have worked with before? How long have you known this presence? Subject, quite some time. David, does this presence go back to the beginning of your existence? Subject, yes. David, you feel positive about that. Is that correct? Subject, quickly, yes. David, this presence goes back to your very beginning. Did it help guide you along the way? Subject, yes. David, does it help you with creating your life choices and agreements throughout your life incarnations? Subject, yes. David, you have faith and trust in those who help you with your life choices? Subject, yes. David, you would consider them like a spirit guide? Subject, more than that. David, more than a spirit guide? Subject, I met a couple of my guides. This seems like the boss of guides. David, he's the head guy. He's at the top of the whole structure. Subject, for me, yes. David, if you had to pick a color and there was one color that this soul, this energy, this evolved being emanates, what color would you say? Subject, the color pyrite gold. David, pyrite gold. Almost like a silver and gold? Subject, yes. David, very interesting. Now if you had to look at yourself in front of this presence, this silver and gold soul presence, what color do you see as your soul? What is your evolvement? Subject, orange and green. David, you're seeing orange and green. Do you see orange fading into green becoming greener? Subject, green is dominant. David, the green is dominant. What other colors do you see? Subject, indigo and gold. David, indigo and gold. Good. When you look at your soul evolution, you know about your Pleiades life and the mental realm life prior to that. If you had to pick a number in your mind that you could put in Earth years, how many years ago was that Pleiadian life? Subject, 62 million. David, how many years earlier was the mental realm life? Was it millions of years? Subject, light years. That's what it feels like. David, you said light years, but if you had to put it in Earth years, how old would your soul be when it first came into existence? Subject, there is no start, there's no start. David, there's nothing that makes sense as far as Earth years. It folds in on itself like a never-ending circle. Subject, yes. David, it never ends. Subject, exactly. David, before the mental realm life, do you see a life before that? Subject, not a life. No. David, let's go back to this presence. I want you to stand there right in front of this presence. Can you do that for me? Subject, yes. David, how do you see yourself now? What shape do you have? Subject, formless, mumbling. David, are you just energy at this point? Subject, yes. David, there's no physical shape. Are you a ball of energy? Subject, no. More like particles. David, and you are orange, but green is predominant. Is that correct? Subject, yes. David, you're saying the presence is what color again if you had to pick 2 or 3? Subject, pyrite gold. David, pyrite gold. Does the pyrite gold have anything to do with their evolvement? Subject, I don't know. David, describe some of your spirit guides. What color are their souls if you had to pick a color? Subject, which one? David, let's say your most evolved spirit guide. What color is their soul? Subject, Azrael? Azrael's theory, long sigh. I can't really describe the colors. It's more like a patterning of pink and purple for this being. Author's note, the main theory as to how Azrael came about is a story in the Bible that describes a king by the name of Azra. The main idea of the theory is that he didn't die. He came up to heaven and was made an angel, had his name modified to Azrael, because all divine beings are denoted by adding L at the end of the name. David, are they a feminine or masculine spirit most of the time? I know they're androgynous, but do they prefer to project male or female energy in front of you? Subject, this one presents total androgyny, the other 2 take gender. This one is androgynous and formless. David, have these spirit guides been with you from the beginning? Subject, pause, some of them stepped in. David, did some of them come along later depending on what life you were going to take? Subject, yes. David, do some spirit guides get assigned to you later? Is it something like this? I'm going to take this life and this spirit guide can help me with these lessons. Do different spirit guides come into your different lives depending on what they are? Subject, I'm not sure. The ones I met have all been with me from the beginning. David, take me to that life when you were in the mental realm, and let's look at the soul agreement you signed. What were a few of the things you wanted to learn in that life? What did you want to come away with? Subject, patience, but not in the way that I am used to experiencing patience. David, was it different than here? Subject, yes. David, any other lessons? Subject, temperament and control, pause. But also the opposite of that, it's temperament, control, and then letting it all go. David, when you finished that life, how did you die? When you left that mental realm life and passed away, where did you go? Subject, no idea. David, did you find yourself after that life eventually back in front of the presence again? Is that how that worked? Subject, yes. David, now you're in front of the presence. How do they think you did in that life? Subject, I existed. David, you existed. Do they think you passed your lessons? Subject, there are lessons to be continued. I think I got through the first step, but there are more parts to that one. David, there are more parts to that life? Subject, yes. David, you passed the first level. Subject, yes, it's like Roman numeral 1, A, B, C, D. David, if you want to continue to advance more, you take more parts. Subject, yes. David, how many parts are there to that life? Can you give me a number? Subject, no, it goes on continuously. David, the more you advance, the more evolved you become. Subject, yes. David, do you know if you passed the first level in that life? Subject, yes. David, did you try to get through more than one level in that life? In other words, could you have passed the second and third parts? Subject, I don't think that was an option. David, you were trying to pass the first level and that is all you signed up for. Is that correct? Subject, yes. David, it is like being a sophomore and passing a sophomore course, but they didn't offer the junior or senior curriculum to you. Is that right? Subject, yes. David, very interesting. We can follow up on that in the future. You discovered some interesting lives you've had today. I want you to start to wake up. As I count from 1 to 5, you will become more and more awake.